through the day's 8-game MLB slate. Thankfully, no weather concerns we're worried about right now, so we should be getting all 8 games of these guys right at your fingertips. I'm Chris Spags, joined by my good pal, my Wednesday buddy, the Chubster, Josh Engelman. How are you doing, Josh?
Pretty good, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited to play this slate. I ended up relatively neutral on the early slate, so I'll take it, I guess.
Hey, neutral, that's better than losing, many people would say. And if you want to stop the losing for yourself, if you're watching this video right now, use that promo code Live Before Lock. You get half off the first month or week of any Osmo Plus membership. Get all the ownership projections, the regular projections to plug right into Fantasy Cruncher, the deep dive column every day, the top stacks tool, the lineup builder. It's a million different things that'll make you better at building MLB DFS lineups every day. So use that promo code Live Before Lock for half off the first month or week of any Osmo Plus membership. All right, so
yeah, by the way, when you mentioned the Padres lineup and the K rate dropping just before we started, it had a pretty profound impact on Sean Anderson. Not that it's changing my ultimate goal, but he's not as like slam dunky as he was prior to me making that statement.
So let's talk about the top pitcher on the slate today, Sean Anderson. That was a guy we talked about before coming on the air, because I mentioned to Josh I have him in a lot more lineups than I wanted to, but him and David Hess both, to be honest, I have a little bit more than I want, targeting the matchup on the other side with strikeouts. And the Padres projected lineup had about 30% strikeout rate in it. This lineup they just put out now, if you want to grab it, there's only one lineup that has been released yet, which is the Giants lineup. But yeah, down to a 27.2% K rate versus right-hand pitching, which I think is still the most on the slate. So I don't hate Anderson, but yeah, I guess that would probably drop his projections a few points.
Yeah, in my target score relative to salary, it dropped from 1.4% to 1%, which I know is context independent. Like, you know, nobody understands like what I'm saying there, but it dropped by almost half. So,
ooh, okay. Well,
so that's a value metric. It's not as extreme in like the aggregate, but relative to his salary, it dropped enough that it's kind of problematic.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk Sean Anderson. Obviously, he's not actually the top pitcher on the slate. That's going to be Justin Verlander. We'll talk about in a second. But while we're talking about him, so Anderson to me, and on the deeper dive, they mentioned it too. Alex said his minor league strikeout numbers were much better than he's had in the majors so far. And he doesn't expect there to be as much of a drop off as there has been. To me, his numbers just seem incredibly low. He's averaging 5.1 Ks per nine on the year. Also has a 6.6% swing strike rate, so that's not going to help out a lot. Versus a Padres team who strikes out quite a bit. I think maybe this is the spot where he picks up a few extra ones and kind of gets closer to league average amount, because he's not a bad pitcher besides that. He keeps the ball down, doesn't give up a ton of fly balls, doesn't give up a ton of hard contact. Would you say this is a spot here where you think Anderson can maybe kind of level things out a little bit?
I'm probably looking at him in a different lens. Mostly just he's 6,600 and this game's in San Francisco. And as long as you're not a pure gas can like, I don't know, Edwin Jackson, Hess, you know, a lot of the bottom of today, I'm willing to take my chances just in general. I think he could be like an average pitcher in baseball, like a number 3 starter, probably more like a number 4 starter. And that's more than good enough to me against a Padres lineup that has some power, but isn't really like a good hitting lineup in general. It's in one of the best pitchers' parks in baseball. Lefty power goes to die here unless your name's oh my
Brandon
god,
Belt.
Who hit the dong off of Bumgarner?
Oh, Max Muncy.
Oh my god, how could I not land on that?
Forget him of all the people.
It's just a brain fart. Like, unless you're Max Muncy and you're putting balls into the ocean or bay, or whether the ocean is the bay, it's just like, it kind of makes everybody be in a good spot here, and San Diego in particular, just not that cool of an offense. So, yeah, I'm gonna get there, but it's not like I'm expecting him to be a world beater. It's another one of those scenarios where I'm just kind of hoping that he doesn't go out there and die.
Yeah, I think he's just a guy who kind of projects well. And for me, like, I'm not as big on Miles Michaelis today. So I think Anderson, a guy who's, I would say, grades out sort of comparably. I don't think he's quite as good, but not getting a ton of strikeouts. Same thing for Michaelis, and hopefully he can keep the ball in the park. And as Emac once said in one of the shows, which I've just stuck with me, not a lot of fly balls, a lot of worm burners for Sean Anderson, a lot of ground balls, a 24% fly ball rate. So the rest of that is going to be a lot of ground balls.
Honestly, today I would rather him have a monster fly ball rate.
Oh yeah, because it's not going to go out.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair point.
Not that it's bad or anything.
Yeah, just a matter of him, I think, being able to mitigate damage is what was appealing to me. And yesterday, Tyler Beatty could have gotten there. He's got better strikeout stuff, but a little more volatile pitcher. And that one kind of hurt me a little bit, because he had like 20 fantasy points after 4 innings and then gave up a 3-run bomb, and that just kind of ruined his day. But I think he's got the stuff that's a little more volatile, whereas Anderson going to give you less strikeouts, but should be able to keep it in the park and keep it under control.
Man, getting a, like an after 9 p.m. Eastern time alert for a 3-run home run or a grand slam is just, it gives off so much anxiety because it's coming. I see the number on the home run before I see the name, so it's just like, okay, is this positive or negative? And it carries so much weight late. It's so scary.
It does, and thankfully, this probably is not a game where you're going to be expecting a lot of people loading up on the bats, but that is one now. We're again waiting on that one San Francisco Giants lineup to confirm everything there, but I will let you guys know when that one comes out. Let's circle back to Justin Verlander because he is the guy everybody's going to want to know about here. He's going to be the chalkiest pitcher everywhere across the industry today on your FanDuel, on your Yahoo, on your DraftKings. It's a good spot for him overall. I mean, I guess in terms of the Vegas total, 3.4 implied runs against him. He's given up some more power this year and getting less strikeouts in that process. And that it spooked me off in the morning. And then as I was actually making lineups, I really couldn't avoid him as much as I wanted to. I do have some leverage going the other way with Milwaukee because they just have a ton of home run power and just hit well versus right-hand pitching overall. But I'm above the field on Verlander, and I don't see how you don't go at least close to the field on him. What are you doing with Verlander today?
I assume I'll have a ton on DK and relatively close to the field on FanDuel because he's just far and away the best option. We got Emacs Dong pick, by the way, into Premium Slack. Wanted to get it before you took it.
What? He's not allowed to do that. That's not how the game goes.
Maybe he's got stuff going on.
Especially as a guy in EMAC who's now no longer in first place in the home run contest, by the way.
Wait, really?
You know who is? Well, he's tied for first place, but he's not in sole possession.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I knew you got the double dong. I didn't know why we were talking like you passed him.
Well, I mean, is tying him is just as good as passing him? Some could say.
Is it?
So, some could say.
Are you some?
I am some. In this particular scenario, I am some.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm on a hot streak. EMAC is as cold as ice right now, much like that old Chappelle Show skit.
I was thinking more. Who sings that song?
You're as cold as ice. Well, I don't know who sings it, but I know the song. You're as cold as ice, but willing to sacrifice our love.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Starship. Who is it?
Let's acknowledge my great falsetto there. How about that? Foreigner.
Nah, I should have known that. I skipped that concert.
Yeah,
By the way, Nelson Cruz is number 1 in my home run model, so kudos to EMAC for that one.
God damn it, EMAC! That's the name of the game. EMAC is calling it at the halfway point. Can't just queue him up in advance after you had the guy yesterday too. Shameful.
To be fair, he might be trying to eat some dinner. He's got the day job today, and then I am recording the Early Bird podcast with him, and we're kind of jamming it in before I go live or before I produce the PGA show tonight. So might just be a timing thing. Might have to eat some dinner and be a family man.
that is fair, but I will choose to stomp my feet instead and be mad at EMAC for doing that now. But
unless Nelson Cruz doesn't hit a home run, at which point you're very happy that he made that.
Correct. Pick. Yes, then that'd be great. Also very chalky today, so that would really work out well.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So, but Justin Verlander, any reason at all? I guess why you'd want to go under the field on him?
Giants lineup is out. I mean, the only reason that you want to go under what are we at right now? 35%.
Solano is in the Giants lineup.
The only reason you want to go under on Verlander is because you're trying to make some sort of Brewer stand. Because I don't think that there's a natural pivot to Verlander. I think Soroka's a good pitcher. I think Berrios is a good pitcher. I think Joey Lucchesi are good pitchers. All three of those guys, even against the Brewers team, aren't Justin Verlander in terms of a ceiling. In our site projections, Verlander is 7 points ahead of Berrios, essentially 7 ahead of Soroka, and like just 6 and change ahead of Lucchesi. That is a massive gap for guys that are not really separated by all that much salary. He's priced where he's at, and he projects as he does for a reason, because he is very clearly a number 1 starter on this slate, and the rest of these guys are like 1.5s at best.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And here's I guess a tangential question from the showstopper in the premium Slack, which you do get with that premium Osmo Plus membership at Osmo.com. He's asking, question for large field FanDuel GPPs. Wouldn't it make sense to pivot off of Verlander to a guy like Lucchesi, since most Verlander lineups will have the same build with Toronto and Baltimore?
Where's that question coming from?
Premium Slack.
Oh, I see it. Showstopper. I think people get a little too hung up on that. You can make your lineup look different just by having Verlander as well. Like, particularly on FanDuel, I don't like trying to get too cute because if Verlander has a day, like let's say a couple pitchers are a standard deviation away from what you would expect them to be today. When Verlander does that, he makes it so you're unable to have a different pitcher if you want to win that contest. Because on his 40-point projection from Alex, if he gets to 60, it doesn't really matter all that much if Miles Michaelis gets to 40.
Okay.
So I feel a little bit differently on FanDuel, but you can just force yourself to be different in a hitting stack. Baseball is different than basketball because even though Justin Verlander is projected for 26% ownership, you would never freak out over someone being 26 in the NBA. We think about these pivots on these smaller slates in a basketball season. If it's like, oh, Russell Westbrook is playing without, I don't know, Paul George today, and he's still just 11-6. He's 75% owned. And it's like, okay, I know that like that's a spot that I can get different. But 74% of the lineups are projected to not have Justin Verlander right now.
On FanDuel.
On
A
FanDuel.
little bit, yeah, less than that on DraftKings and Yahoo.
So I think people try to get a little bit too cute because of sort of the way that we approach this and the way that we talk about it, in that we kind of want to pivot away from chalk. But sometimes like they're not chalky enough to make that viable.
Okay. I think that's fair. And I think to me, the reason I would go against Verlander is just, there's a lot of power in that Milwaukee line. We talk about them a lot when we do shows together because they jump out. There's a crazy home run rate for them collectively as a team. And overall versus right-hand pitching, this lineup today has a 115 WRC plus, a 345 on base percentage, a 204 ISO. So like these guys can hit it well. And I think that to me is what's more appealing is you're getting hitters and maybe they do get Verlander on a day where his stuff isn't quite there. But I agree though, like I'm still above the field on Verlander on DK just because I really couldn't find a way to get to these other guys unless I assume everybody fails above, let's say 9K. And then maybe there are some like Anderson Hess lineups that somehow weirdly can be valuable. But that's not a high probability outcome.
Right. Like the most likely scenario is that Justin Verlander is successful and strikes out guys that tend to strike out quite a bit. The worry is that some of these left-handed hitters that have massive power connect on something with runners on base. That's what we're worried about. A multi-home run or a multi-run home run is the Verlander kryptonite for tonight. And the Brewers are uniquely set up to do that because they just mash baseballs. But more often than not, Justin Verlander goes out there and pitches like the Cy Young Award winner that he is.
Yeah, it's still a 0.74 whip for him on the year. So even if he is giving up home runs, like the 3.9% home run rate isn't great. But the fact that he's just not giving up a lot of that contact in the first place. I went with mini stacks for Milwaukee more than full stacks. I think I have like a couple of full stacks as well. But for when I wanted to get different on my non-Verlander lineups, I have either one-offs or mini stacks. And I think you want to go against Verlander. I think that's an approach. But yeah, I think full stacking them to me, not quite as good of idea as it may seem on paper.
Yeah, and sorry, I had to clear the throat a little bit. Adam mentioned it earlier today. Verlander's strikeout rate against lefties is like massively higher than it is against righties. Not that he's like some schlub against righties or anything, but he doesn't have any problem mowing down lefties. I just sort of meant, when I mentioned lefties before, because I saw a comment in chat, I just meant like a lot of their power is wrapped up in lefty bats. And Milwaukee plays up to lefty power as well.
Yeah, and you're right too. The splits there, going versus lefties, he has a 0.73 whip, 4.9 hits per nine, and 13.1 Ks per nine. Going versus righties, he has a 0.96 whip, 7.1 hits per nine, and 10.4 Ks per nine. So actually, that logic and Adam saying that put me on a little bit more Ryan Braun as the one-off I was using for that, because I think your instinct would be to go to Yelich because he's the best hitter by far. And but I think Braun has the righty matchup. He's also very cheap. I think he's the one-off I kind of prefer the most because, again, it is a pretty noticeable lefty-righty split for Verlander.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know that. I was really surprised when Adam let me know earlier today.
Yeah, it is a big difference. I mean, it could slip by if you don't know it, if somebody doesn't point it out. But yeah, so now we've pointed it out to you. So pass it forward. Play a little telephone. Give it to the next person.
Like I'm rarely digging into Justin Verlander splits because he's Justin Verlander. Like you don't care. He's Justin Verlander. You're not looking for the edge on rostering him. So I had no idea because I don't think I've ever clicked on Justin Verlander splits in my entire life.
Yeah, he's not like Jared Eichhoff or pretty much every Philly pitcher who has like really noticeable lefty-righty splits. I think every single one of them, at least the ones that have pitched in a row the last 3 days, all much worse versus lefties, and that's not quite the case for Verlander. It's still comparable, but yeah, it is appreciably better for him, and that's a very large sample size going back to last year and in previous years too.
Let's see if Lucchesi gets a bump from this Giants lineup. He did
I think
indeed.
there were less strikeouts.
He got a bump for me personally.
Because of Solano and leadoff.
It's probably not hurt. He doesn't project to strike out all that much, but he also sucks. So that's also helpful when you get a guy at the top of the order that is garbage.
Not a lot of power for Donovan Solano, and a limited sample size, only 23 at bats in the majors versus a lefty, 0.05 ISO. So that's not good.
Yeah, he's pretty brutal. Has Alex pushed out his updated projections yet?
The park will play right into what Donovan Solano wants to do, though, because he doesn't want to hit home runs anyway, and you won't be hitting home runs.
No, he will. Well, I'm sure now that we're saying that, he's going to put he'll put one in McCovey Cove, opposite field bomb to lead off the game.
And then he'll give some nice trash talk to Joey Lucchesi.
Yeah, it'll be like, pick one out of the cove, pick one out of the ocean. These are all the same place.
Oh, and the premium Slack, by the way, I did sing Cold as Ice before. Brick75 requesting some Hall & Oates, Maneater if you could. I don't know that I have that in my repertoire right now, but I do like any keyboard cat based Hall & Oates song.
I'm just a really bad singer, so I avoid it at all costs.
This might have been better on an Eddie Live Before Lock show. He'd be welcoming that chance to bust out. He was actually asking Rinpack the other day on the NBA stream, like, do you know Boyz II Men so we could sing End of the Road?
Oh, no, that I could have done.
Poor Rinpack did not know Boyz II Men, which I was surprised by. A little disappointed in Rinpack, to be honest. I don't know your R&B, your early 90s sentimental R&B. Well, cheap. All right. Here, I guess while we're talking about this, usually we do stacks in the back half of the show, but Jay Kelly is asking cheap stacks you like on FanDuel with Verlander besides Toronto and Baltimore.
So I'm just trying to take a look at price tags. I mean, depending on how you feel about Danny Duffy, the Tigers are always like a kind of weird value when the opposing pitcher is getting ownership. Like if Danny Duffy was at 1% ownership on FanDuel, it's not something that I would say. But he's at 19 in our most recent ownership update, which is the second highest number across the board. I mean, if you want to play Verlander with the Tigers, I don't think that's the worst idea in the world because of Duffy's ownership. Now, don't get me wrong. As I've mentioned before, Tigers suck. They're really just not a great hitting team. So understand what you're getting with that. But that would probably be the first place that I looked.
I think you're right with that too, because Castellanos and Cabrera, I pointed out in the Four Corners video I did today, those guys both over a 164 WRC plus versus lefties, and Cabrera doesn't have as much pop these days, but still on paper as a 197 ISO going back to last year, and Castellanos is legitimately good.
And like Castellanos is only 3,100. He's the most expensive hitter on the Tigers. You can get to Kristen Stewart, Castellanos, whatever you think of Miguel Cabrera. And then, I don't know, figure it out from there. Ronnie Rodriguez, I guess, and that'll get you 4.
Yeah, I think that's a fair approach to it. If you are playing Verlander on FanDuel, I think Detroit is an interesting one to go with. Let's finish up the Lucchesi part. How much Lucchesi do you anticipate having today?
Take a look at it here. I will probably be under the field on FanDuel. I'm guessing on DraftKings, probably pretty similar to the field. Everybody's pretty spread out today, so it's hard for me to say anything other than I will have one big difference from the strategy show earlier today. I don't get the sense that I'll have as much Miles Michaelis as I expected on the strategy show. He has tumbled quite a bit for me.
I share that worldview with you. I think he's going to be a little bit too owned for what he can actually do. And the strikeout spot, at least on paper, not really there. And it includes Jordan Yamamoto, who has no majors batting at all. But a 17.7% swing strikeout rate versus right-hand pitching for that lineup. And not a lot of guys who have really big above league average strikeout numbers on there. So that kind of spooked me off where it's not going to be easy for Michaelis to get strikeouts. I don't really see the upside for him.
I loved him this morning. I didn't really look into what changed from a lineup perspective. I guess I should pull that up now. Yeah, so whatever the Marlins did, they have put in a bunch of hitters that do not strike out. Mm-hmm. And other than Granderson, I mean, he's the only one that projects to strike out like quite a bit, and it's still a lefty-righty matchup.
Yeah, Cooper.
I still think Michaelis can still be efficient and like roll through the Marlins, but it has become a significantly worse matchup than it was at 9:00 today.
Yeah, it's only Garrett Cooper, and Curtis Granderson are the only guys above league average in strikeouts, and then Brian Holiday is the only other guy above 20%. Everybody else here is under 20%, so that's not a great lineup to target for a guy who already is going to struggle with actually getting strikeouts.
And historically, I mean, Holiday just sucks, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Historically, not that big of a strikeout guy, but he's also not very good. So we're really grasping at straws here.
Fair enough. Are you getting any of the Soroka? I mean, you mentioned him a little bit briefly, but he's a high price guy. I feel like you just have to talk about any Soroka at all as a pivot or just as a guy you want some of.
I expect to have very, very little. I like Barrios more than Soroka. I clearly like Verlander more than Soroka. So it ends up being really difficult to get a guy that's sandwiched by two guys that you like more.
Yeah, I agree. The strikeout stuff for Soroka hasn't been there. He's been good at limiting damage, but 7.9 Ks per nine on the year. It does seem like maybe it's due for some positive regression because the swinging strike rate is good, 11.2%. Chase rate's 35%. But this lineup for the Padres, only a 14.8% or their lineup itself has a 14.8% K rate. It's obviously not a lot. And the Pirates in general, like I feel like people always want to go against them, and I'd much rather stack them than go against them because they just don't strike out a lot, and they have guys who at least can make it uncomfortable at times. I don't see the upside going against them too much.
Yeah, same. It's a really difficult matchup in terms of picking up Ks. We just got an ownership update a minute ago, if you're curious.
Okay, I'll update that too.
Because that allows me to just start crunching because we've got everything now.
Yeah, so all the lineups are in, all the updates are in. If you are not a premium member of Osmo.com, get that Osmo Plus membership right now with promo code Live Before Lock. Get in there, get all the updates that Josh is going to be plugging into his sheet right now. You could have them at your fingertips for the last 40 minutes of the show. So go check it out now. Use that promo code Live Before Lock and get half off your first month or week of any membership. What about the cheap pitchers here? Because we do have a lot of guys. Again, we talked about Sean Anderson up top. We talked a little bit about David Hess, who BVP people are going to love David Hess because he's been lighting up the Blue Jays over the last year or so. And I got there too just because the price is cheap. I also got some Daniel Norris in there. Which of these guys are the ones who I feel like you would go to as the cheaper pivots? Or is there guys in the mid-range you like more, like Woodruff?
I like Woodruff. I mentioned Danny Duffy before as a way to, if you didn't like him on FanDuel, but I do like Danny Duffy. But Sean Anderson is the guy that I'll probably be going to. I'm praying that I don't get anywhere near 27% Daniel Norris because he doesn't grade out well, but he grades out better than Jackson and Hess. But I would expect most of my ownership to stop at Sean Anderson.
Okay. Also, just to update, Rinpack slacked me saying the reason he didn't know Boyce Cement was because he was born in '94 and not even in this country. So
that'll do it.
Still not an excuse. That should be part of your citizenship test. If you want to be an American, is you have to learn all the '90s hits of R&B. I want to see full song portrayals of Blackstreet and Boyce Cement at the next turn. No Diggity better be in that repertoire for Rinpack.
I'll tell you what, being born in a different country in 1994 is very certainly going to let you never hear Boyz II Men.
Nope, that's not the one. Oh boy, that guy you muted in YouTube seems like a lovely person based on his username.
Yeah, I had to give him the boot immediately. I thought I saw it, and I was like, "Is that the word?" I was like, "Oh, it is. He's gone. He's gone already."
Jeez, that is an aggressive username.
Yeah.
One. So yeah, I think Hess is okay. Despite the BVP things, it's not the reason I got there. It's more the strikeout rate for Toronto's lineup, 26.1% K rate versus right-hand pitching for their active lineup. And these are guys who have a ton of power, but also guys who strike out and don't make the best contact across the board. So I don't mind Hess at 4,100 on DraftKings. Norris too, he projects well for us with our projections at Osmo.com. So I got there. I don't feel great about it. I actually like the Royals more this morning, and I don't know that I'm comfortable with the lack of Royals I have with the amount of Norris I have. But Norris is a guy who's mediocre and priced well, and you're able to afford the bats, so I got there. But it's a real crappy pitcher slate for me, Josh.
Jake doesn't know Boyz II Men either.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I get that Minnesota is sort of like a different country as well, but
that's a tough one. That is maybe we need to have an orientation for people at Osmo.com where they just learn all the Boyz II Men songs for whenever needed, whenever called upon.
I can't imagine, like, I sing Boyz II Men songs in my car at the top of my lungs.
And you can do the different parts. You can do different voices. You can do the baritone guy who's always like, baby. The guy with the cane I don't know any of their names.
No,
for sure.
One of them's boys, the other one's two, the other one's men.
Just like Bell Biv DeVoe, they just named themselves.
There's only 3 of them now. I don't know what happened to the 4th one. He could be dead for all I know.
He's probably down in Motown, Philly. He's back again.
Well played.
I hear they're doing a little East Coast swing there. We are at the halfway point of the show, or just about, so let's just go to it. Anything else pitching-wise you want to cover? Obviously, if you guys have questions, drop them in either the YouTube chat or the premium Slack, and we'll get there as we go. But I feel like we covered the pitching. It's a Verlander's day and just a dice roll besides that, I guess.
He says he knows who they are. Jake says he knows who they are, but he could not list one song by them. So who would Jake's like boy band du jour be then?
98 Degrees. Like not even In Sync or
it probably is though, right?
He's like, I'm a big Nick Lachey guy, is what Jake would think. Or he's big on O-Town.
Okay, so we can't have this conversation right now because I am big in O-Town.
I don't mind O-Town. I also, Together, the fake MTV band, also enjoyed their one song.
You plus me equals real weird calculus.
It equals you plus me equals us, right? That's how I spell my calculus.
It does. R.I.P. to one of those dudes, actually, too.
And Kevin Farley's brother was in that. Or no,
Kevin
Chris
Farley.
Brother,
Yeah, I was going to say, Kevin Farley is the guy. It would be a lot funnier if Chris Farley was in it.
Yeah, that was actually their Weekend at Bernie's album.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be so great.
Halfway point of the show, that means it's time for Dong Picks. As I mentioned earlier in the show, there's been a seismic shift in the rankings where now there is a tie for first place in total dongs with EMAC at 12. And of course, your hero, our protagonist of the show, myself, 12 dongs as well that are correct. The correct picks, though, still favors EMAC. EMAC has 12 correct picks on the year. I have 11. And Jake is just behind me with 10. And Josh pulling up the rear still, much like a rented mule with 9 correct picks on the year and 10 total dongs. Josh, you're the loser here, so I'll let you go first.
Not happy about that slight right there. So NSYNC and Backstreet Boys are too early for Jake.
Come on, man.
So who would have been like early 2000s?
Oh, no LFO. LFO would not be it either, but good call by Andrew Mock.
Yeah. Who were like...
I don't even think there were. I mean, he's got to be like who's the band that's the British guys who broke up and
One Direction?
Yeah.
I'd say that's too late then. I think we're missing that window where like we would have been in college.
There were no boy bands then though. Like it was all like emo music at that point.
Yeah, I guess he's probably listening to like Yellow Card after a breakup or something.
Oh, please should blare some Ocean Avenue, a place that's in Los Angeles, and also a place where I used to sit and talk with you. I'm
more of an egg white. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm going to make my home run pick now because we're driving this one right off the rails.
We are. So as only we can.
Mr. God. Jodeci, Sum 41, Bieber, One Direction. I mean, Chad is just going. Jonas Brothers. That's a good one.
Oh, Jake is. I actually once ate dinner at a restaurant with the Jonas Brothers before New Year's when they actually performed on the New Year's show. They were at a Brazilian steakhouse, which I went to with my friends for that, and they didn't eat a lot. Those boys don't have enough. They can't put away protein like that.
That's fine, man. That one of them's got to be wary that winter is coming, so he better stock up. He's got to live in Winterfell for the rest of his life. Okay, home run pick. Can't take Nelson Cruz because EMAC sniped him too early. So I'm clearly going against the lovely man that is David Hess. I've got a Blue Jay in second, third, and fourth. And I don't generally like that because whoever I pick is not going to work out.
Yeah, they're going to have 4 strikeouts today, whoever you pick.
Andrew Mock talking about playing Let's Get Married by Jagged Edge at a wedding. We played that as my wife and I came out, so there's that.
Oh, that's cute. That's a good song.
Give me Justin Smoke.
All right, Justin Smoke is Josh's pick. This is a tough slate for I feel like a home run pick because I don't like the chalky ones. I'm not on as much, and I have enough going the other way. I guess maybe I should go against Mitch Keller. Yeah, all right. I'll go against Mitch Keller. I'll go with Big Ron Acuna. He's priced up. I have enough of him, so Ronald Acuna is my guy.
He's 16th in the model today.
All right, well, I can take that.
That's
once Nelson Cruz is off the board, it was all ruined.
I agree. It was ruined.
So rude. So poor form in the dong contest by EMAC. This day is officially under protest. I'm calling shenanigans. Sean B. Smoke LMAO. Horrible call by Josh.
Yeah, that's fine, but it makes me more happy. He also said that you can't play Lucchesi on the road as if he's not pitching in one of the best pitching parks in baseball, but because for some reason that just won't work for him. So
right. I mean, San Francisco, a known hitters park. Of course, you can't go in there.
You can't pitch Joey Lucchesi in San Francisco. How could you ever succeed against the Giants?
Sean V likes the Acuna call. Thanks, Sean V. That's why you're my boy. That's why you always get the shout outs whenever I'm hosting.
Yeah.
No shirts.
That's why you get ignored when I'm hosting.
Jake, if you have a home run pick, chime in there. We'll give you guys yours. We'll give you guys rather what Jake picks whenever he comes to it. Stack wise, Josh, what are you doing here? You talked about Toronto, so I assume you have a good amount of them going against David Hess. What are you doing with Toronto today? Full stacks, mini stacks? What are you getting the most of?
We'll find out shortly. I just finished my FanDuel crunch. I'm exporting that now. DraftKings is just finishing up, so I don't have an answer for you, but I'll have an answer in like 5 minutes.
Okay, then. Never mind.
So where are you at with regards to the Blue Jays?
So they project well for us, and I do try to trust the projections a decent amount. The ownership on them, though, has really gone up. So now in the top stacks tool, though they do have, I think, do they still actually have the highest chance? Let me just double check before I misquote the best chance of top stack. Yeah, so they're now the they have the best chance of being the top stack today, according to Osmo's top stacks tool, which you get as part of that premium membership, an Osmo Plus membership with that promo code live before lock. But I gotta
hold Sean V to the fire here. He says, "Nah, you can play Lucchesi here." Just saying he's been bad on the road. Verbatim quote during the deeper dive from Sean V. Can't play Lucchesi on the road, even in this matchup. I copied it and pasted it to someone just because it aggravated me. So don't walk it back. Don't walk it back. You said it in the chat. I have the screenshot of it. So calm yourself.
You know, takes can change throughout the course of the day. We all know how that happens. You do the strategy show in the morning. I do the four corners. I feel like sometimes you look at more stuff.
This was like 45 minutes ago.
It's a different world. Sean B, the world's just moving underneath our feet, buddy. I'm with you.
Back to your stack. Sorry, I was ready to freak out.
So yeah, Toronto, I'm there with it. And again, so like what really worries me though is that now they're going to be higher owned than their chance to be the top stack on DraftKings. They're still good. They still do project to be a decent value play on the day, but that worries me a little bit. Like I don't want to be on a team that's I think has some real flaws overall in terms of strikeouts. And you know, I'm not a BVP guy, but it is sort of odd how Hess has kind of owned their asses. Like that's a little bit weird to look at the box scores and see what he's done against them. Doesn't change that he's not a good pitcher, but I kind of wonder if it's maybe one of those Vargas things where it's like, oh, maybe he's just good soft tossing against this particular team. I don't know, but it freaks me out enough where I still have Toronto, but with them being a highly owned stack and their potential theoretically going down a little bit as a result of that, I don't know. I don't mind going away from them.
I have a feeling that I'm going to have quite a bit of them. More on DK, I believe, than FanDuel, but give me 1 second. I can actually give that answer. No, more on FanDuel than DK. Sorry.
So I'm not saying this to give anybody pause, but just pointing it out because somebody, I think it actually might have been EMAC in the premium Slack today, pointed out his previous success versus Toronto, but his last 4 starts, his first start in 2018 going against them, he had 15.3 fantasy points, 4 strikeouts. Second start in 2018, 25.9 fantasy points, 7 strikeouts. Third start, 23.9 fantasy points, 5 strikeouts. And then this year, 33.65 fantasy points and 8 strikeouts. I don't know, man. It's a little bit weird. Like, it's a little bit weird given that it's David Hess.
Right now on the first FanDuel crunch, I got to 28% aggregate ownership to the Blue Jays, and they're at 20 right now. So, again, I haven't made any adjustments or anything, but they are my highest owned stack by like double.
Okay. Well, if they run into the David Hess buzzsaw, I guess that you'll know going in that you walked into that. He's not Canadian either, by the way. He's from Tennessee, so I don't know why David Hess would have a real thing for Toronto.
Yeah, and I also ended up with 57% Verlander in that scenario. So we'll see where that shakes out as I start making tweaks and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. So anyway, I still have Toronto. I'm not going against them by any stretch or fading them by any stretch because I do think the power's there and they do project really well. So I'm going to ride with the projections, but that strikeout rate does worry me, and Hess's weird ownership of them, I mean, just dominating them does seem kind of strange, and I don't get it. But
sometimes I would rather die on that one again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ooh, I'm going to end up with a lot of Verlander on DraftKings. Oh, boy. When so I can see the first 52 lines of my crunches, when I refresh it on in Excel, and Verlander is in all of them but one.
Okay. Wait, Daniel Mardorf, Toronto is a completely different team. Heinous take. They're a different team than they were like 2 weeks ago. I don't think they're.
Yeah, Hess mowed them down in like the opening start of the season, I think.
Yeah, April 1st. And they are not very different then. The only difference there is having Vlad, and I guess if you want to say Sogard, but I don't think those are big changes materially. Everything else is kind of the same.
Is 85% Verlander too much?
A little bit, but I honestly, I don't hate it. Like, he's got the floor. I think this slate, I think you just want the floor, and as long as he can still afford decent hitting.
Oh, Jesus, I got to 10% Hess.
There you go. He projects well. I mean, He does project well on the site. He's just because he's 4,100 on DraftKings.
I mean, he projects better than Tommy Malone and Edwin Jackson, so I guess he's not in the basement. I mean, I'm going to have to make some tweaks because if I have 85% Verlander, I probably want every other lineup that doesn't have Verlander to have the Brewers. So.
Yeah, and EMAC, by the way, his column, the spotlight hitters and pitchers, I think he did today, is it both? They're hitters and stacks. Does have that, and it's linked right now in the YouTube chat, and has a little more data on Hess's success versus Toronto, which just jumps out as strange. Again, not a BVP guy, but it did jump out as enough. And again, he projects for it to be a decent value. So whatever, I'll take my shots. I'll die with David Hess. That's fine. I had Hess trucks as a kid. I was a big fan of those. I actually have a collection of them.
I had Hess trucks as a kid as well.
My parents used to make me buy them every year because they thought it'd be like collector's items. So they would buy them for me. But I have some ones from like this before I was even alive, which probably worth nothing.
Yeah, it was always like a big thing.
The same idea.
Go down to the Hess station, stand in line like a dummy, and to wait for a truck in the freezing cold in the middle of December. It was always great.
Yeah, on like Thanksgiving week, so like you could be doing family things, you could be watching football or prep. Yeah, no.
Hey, buddy, you want to go down and get a new truck? Do you, Dad?
Probably another thing that both Rinpack and Jake would not be in on.
Yeah, for sure. Safe bet here.
All right.
Can you imagine explaining waiting in line for a Hess truck to a kid that has an iPad?
No, but you could be like, well, it was like iPhones, but for that truck. Like, he would look like an asshole, but I think it's at least got a logic to it.
Oh, I mean, they're the equivalent, but they're also so far removed from each other. Because you could be, the kid would look up a picture of a Hess truck and be like, you waited in line for this shit?
It's true. They were fun though. They had like weird little helicopters in them towards the end, maybe trying to load.
Oh, they would have like lights and yeah, they started to like have like bells and whistles because they realized that if they kept putting out just basic ass trucks, people were going to stop buying them.
Yeah, like here's our Hess gasoline truck with a speedboat. Of course, that's any sort of gas station tanker will have. How about the other side of the equation going against, Edwin Jackson and the other dude who I don't even have on my sheet as the opener, but it's mostly Edwin Jackson. You're getting us a projected long reliever there for Baltimore. I actually find Baltimore kind of interesting because at least, they were more interesting before the most recent ownership update, I think, but they've gone up a bit in ownership. Still kind of interesting, though, going against Edwin Jackson. I think Toronto's bullpen isn't quite as bad as Baltimore, so I think in that respect, maybe a little bit less interesting than Toronto. But I still don't mind the spot for them. I have more mini stacks, but I tried to make sure I got some Trey Mancini in there. I tried to get some Santander in there. I guess I didn't try to. I just did get some in there. What about Baltimore?
I am under the field on DraftKings as of right now, and I am like half the field on FanDuel. So Baltimore becoming a bit of a fade for me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll save the Sean V take, but it's an interesting one to segue into our next thing. Yeah, I don't love them a ton. I am under the field on them significantly as well. So yeah, I share it. I just don't like them overall. Like, even going against Edwin Jackson on paper, they just aren't a team who hits well. And I always find it hard to go to them because they do kind of suck on paper. And I like Mancini. I can deal with Nunez. I don't hate Chance Sisco, at least in some matchups. I don't know. Like, I don't hate them, but I also just don't think they're good. And I find it hard to really go with a chalky team who I don't find to be good.
No, I get that. I really don't know what to do with the Blue Jays right now.
I think just have a mix. Either have lineups with Blue Jays or lineups with Hess. I think that's the way to go about it.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm worried about having so many Blue Jays. So I'm going to knock them back a little bit so I'm not so far over the field and hope that one of my other stacks is the one that carries me.
Oh, also, I don't think I announced Jake's home run pick, but it's Paul Goldschmidt was his going against Yamamoto. So interesting pick. I didn't get much St. Louis at all.
Goldschmidt is 48th.
Yep, the model fears Jordan Yamamoto.
Yamamoto, no.
A C Bunge in the premium Slack or Bungie. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know. I don't want to make your name sound worse than it is. Baltimore sucks in real life too, not just paper. Yes, that's correct. I mean, they just don't hit anything well. So they're going to get hits against if they're getting a lot of Edwin Jackson. That much is for sure. But it's just hard to really trust them. Let's go to Minnesota because Sean V has a Minnesota take here, which I think is worth bringing to the group. Malone got hosed by the Twins organization. They told him to go to AAA or leave, so he became a free agent. Twins just don't hit as well at home. I actually agree with that last point because that park has been not beneficial so far in the year. It's also not heating up like a lot of the other parks across the country. So I actually been going to less Minnesota when they've been at home, and it's been mostly a positive strategy. And Malone, I kind of respect enough. He has a 1.1 whip on the year. He's shown some signs of life, very small sample size, but even still going back to last year, a 1.3 whip. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's bad. I didn't want to go against him heavily when it's going to be a very chalky Twins lineup. But what are you doing with Minnesota?
Twins are my second most owned stack.
Right. We are agreeing to disagree on this slate.
Yeah. I'm under the field on DK and over the field on FanDuel.
Okay. Yes. I mean, it's just a lot of ownership, and Nelson Cruz is going to be very chalky there, and he looks great. I mean, he's always been good versus righties. I think that's certainly versus lefties. I have Malone's hand messed up because of the stupid opener thing. But yeah, it's a nice spot overall for Nelson Cruz. So I think if you're going to go with somebody, go with Emax home run pick as a one-off. But the full stacks, I don't know. I kind of think it's a spot where they're going about it, having the opener, having Malone in there coming after. I think it's not a bad approach to go against Minnesota.
Yeah, I have I'm pretty significantly under on DraftKings, but I'm kind of making that up on FanDuel. They just grade out really well. From a pricing perspective on FanDuel, Alex's projections, really love Nelson Cruz. Not that he's not incredibly chalky, but they're pretty easy to get to on FanDuel in comparison. And 5.7 run implied total certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, the run total is there for them, and and Malone does give up pretty good production to righties. That is one thing that he's been appreciably worse at, with a 1.4 whip compared to a 1 whip versus lefties, a 12 hits per 9 number compared to 7.3 versus lefties. So Malone, if you're going with any Twins, I'd be more inclined to go to righties there. But just for me, it was more comfortable, I think, to get to mini stacks, and I didn't quite get to full stacks as much because I just, I think Malone's not bad.
That's fair.
What else are you getting stack wise? A lot of.
So my most owned stacks across both sites: Blue Jays, Twins, Tigers, Diamondbacks, Orioles. But I'm under the field on the Twins in the aggregate. I'm under the field pretty significantly on the Orioles in the aggregate, but I still have quite a bit of them. The teams that I'm most over the field on are Blue Jays and Tigers right now, which I'm trying to rectify.
Okay, yeah, I think just based on numbers, I'm probably the most over the field on Milwaukee, just because I ended up with going there a decent amount in my non-Verlander lineups. But yeah, I think I share most of those with you. Not Detroit so much, even though I don't like Duffy, don't have a ton of Duffy. Detroit's never too exciting. Though if we were going to go with them again, Castellanos and Cabrera, I think do jump out. Hicks too, pretty good at hitting lefties. They have enough guys here who can generate power. Just Jones and Stewart up top, I feel like threw me off because those guys really don't do a great job versus lefties at all.
Yeah, I'm in the process of goosing my projections for the Brewers to make sure that I basically have them in my non-Verlander lineups.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Any Kansas City for you going against Norris?
Kansas City. So they're middle of the pack for me for ownership. I am slightly above the field on FanDuel and slightly below on DraftKings. So they're just a team that I'm basically running neutral on.
Okay. Yeah, I like them in the morning, and I still think I probably should have gotten more of them, given that I do have, well, I guess I'm actually with the field on Norris, because Norris jumped up quite a bit ownership-wise. But yeah, I think it's a decent spot to go to Kansas City, too, given Norris, going against Norris actually would be pretty good leverage on the slate, because not a lot of ownership on Kansas City. The prices suck for them, though. They're really overpriced for a team that hits like they do.
That's very true.
Let's see. Anybody else? How about Atlanta? We talked about them briefly. Obviously, Acuna is my pick there. Mitch Keller is a guy who maybe you have more of an informed take on, but the majors limited sample size has been good in terms of strikeouts, but also giving up a lot of production. He had 7 Ks in one game versus Cincinnati in his one major league start this year, and I think overall in his career. And I don't know, Keller was a guy who I really think could go either way based upon what I see, like big strikeout numbers on a strikeout per 9 basis, but also giving up hard contact, also giving up pretty decent hits and general walks as well. Are you inclined to go with Atlanta, or would you have any Keller potentially?
So Atlanta is a pretty big fade for me. Relative to the field, they are the team that I'm fading second most behind the Orioles. I have a very small amount on DraftKings and a little bit under the field right now on FanDuel. Let me hop to the Braves so that I could take a look and sort of see why. I think Keller is fine as a pitcher. I don't really love some of the pricing on the Braves. You're really paying a lot for Acuna and Freeman. Not that you shouldn't, but it just doesn't feel like that kind of matchup for me today. And I really don't like the bottom of the Braves lineup. So I'm underweight on Atlanta right now. I hope that the only good thing that happens is, I don't know, maybe like a Josh Donaldson home run. That's the only guy that I'm like equal with the field for.
Okay. I did get some Atlanta in there, and they do project well in terms of the top stacks tool. They have a 10% chance of being a top stack today. Well, only 6.5% ownership on DraftKings. Let me just double check. Those numbers are comparable elsewhere. But yeah, I think it's overall like not a bad spot to go to Atlanta, because I just don't see Keller having that production going forward, at least that kind of strikeout production. Yeah, on FanDuel too, they have a better shot at being a top stack compared to their ownership, 11.2% chance of being top stack compared to 9.8% ownership on Yahoo as well. I guess Yahoo, it goes the other way, where they're a little bit more owned and their chance of being a top stack. It's a pretty big discrepancy on DraftKings though. So I think that was enough for me to feel comfortable with it. And they do have a ton of power, and Atlanta's park, it is warming up a little bit there, even though today is not quite as hot. I think it still should be humid enough. It's Atlanta. And the park itself has been giving up a lot of production recently. So good hitting team, good park, and a guy in Keller I'm iffy about. I agree the bottom of the order does kind of suck though. I'll give you that.
That does not make me feel better. Let me tell you that. I don't like seeing that stack tool point in a direction that I'm not going. It gives me pause and makes me want to redo everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's on both sites, on DraftKings and not on Yahoo, but DraftKings and FanDuel. Right now, they are going to be less owned in their probability of being a top stack. And if you want to check out the entire top stacks tool, or top stacks tool, go to Awesemo.com now and use that promo code live before lock and get half off a first month or a week. You just want to do a week, get half off that too.
And my biggest issue for getting to more Braves is that I'm not really gaining anything by, like, I'd be losing some of the leverage that I'm trying to gain, and that's the reason like most teams move up and down for me. And the teams that don't have a pitcher that's particularly relevant are the teams that just sort of come up to the whims of however it all works out. And the Braves are one of those right now, where I'd be much more like, I've got quite a bit of Mariners as of right now because of Berrios' ownership. So like, I don't get that same sort of bump. If Keller were getting any love, like if Keller were 6,000 or something and he got his ownership up into like the teens, I'd probably get a little bit more Atlanta. But my utility right now is basically just not being on Atlanta instead of trying to be against Keller.
Okay. That seems fair. I think honestly, Keller to me seems like a bit of an unknown quantity in terms of like his minor league numbers too didn't really give me a great read on him, where I think he does have some decent ability to get strikeouts, but yeah, the amount of production you can give up does seem like it could be there as well. So I don't mind taking the shots, and I'll trust the top stacks tool enough, and I'm above the field. Actually, a little bit above the field overall in terms of stack.
Gotcha.
All right, what else? Seattle. Yeah, Seattle I didn't get to at all either. I actually didn't get to Berrios or Seattle. I just feel like that's the spot where I expect him to limit production well enough, and I don't expect Seattle to really give it up to him too easily either. The strikeout rate for this lineup going against a righty is 23.3%. So that's about a little bit above league average, but not enough to be appreciably better. It doesn't seem like a great spot to me to go there as a pivot personally.
Yeah, I'm a little underweight on Berrios right now, and I'm kind of like double-ish the field on DK. I'm just neutral to the field on FanDuel because Berrios isn't as interesting to me in that regard.
Yep, I agree.
I don't need to like jam in Shed Long and Dylan Moore on FanDuel as much.
Yeah, Shed Long, not the best player, but you know what? I feel like based on where he is in the order and his name, I expected his numbers to be worse than they are. But he's just not good in general. But
nope. No, he is not.
All right, what else are you getting? Anything weird that's popping up for you? Any like Houston or anybody else strange that we haven't hit on? Miami? Any Harold Ramirez?
Not really. Everything else, like the Astros are a pretty big fade for me. The Cardinals are a pretty big fade for me. Braves, Phillies.
What about
Phillies are a pretty sizable fade. Now, I still have them quite a bit. Like, they're my sixth most owned team, but they're also the team that I'm third most under the field on. So, a little bit of a combination there. I have some, but not a ton. Here's one for you. I have 2 teams projected to hit more than 2 home runs today.
Oh, I mean, I assume one is Toronto.
You would be correct. They are not first, but it's close.
And I feel like it would be Baltimore would be my second guess, but it can't be that because you wouldn't give one that easy. Arizona?
No.
Who is it?
Minnesota Twins.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Yeah. Like the thing is, I could see Minnesota getting production again from like 1 or 2 guys. I just don't see the full stack getting there. Like I think they can get the home runs, and I think that makes Malone unplayable. But I just don't think they're a full stack team when they're at home right now.
Well, I hope you're wrong if that lineup is good for me, and I hope you're right if it's not.
Okay, that's a fair approach. I'll live with that.
Perfect.
Our boy McCod asking, because it is that time of the show for the Paul Blackburn Award, of course, a historical award going to the pitcher who's the worst, but also the cheapest, or one of the cheapest who could potentially be in a tournament-winning lineup. Who would be that guy for you today? For me, it's David Hess, I think, pretty far and away.
I mean, does Sean Anderson count?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, I have twice the field of Sean Anderson right now, so.
Good news, I have that too. So we share that. No, I think Anderson and Hess would be my 2 guys I like the most there, but yeah, I'm doing a Jake strategy where I also have some Norris, also have some, I guess just those 3 primarily.
Now, I will say Alex's projections don't love Sean Anderson as much as I'm getting to. He actually, pretty highly prefers Daniel Norris. I'm under the field on Norris. I don't love the 27% ownership going to Norris.
Was there an update? Because the ones that I have still has Anderson with 14.4 and Norris with 13.4. But on a value
has there been another update? Oh, there have been 2 updates since. All
right, let's see what the tiebreaker is. I think I thought I had the most recent one.
We've had 2 since the last one was 11 minutes ago. So you might have. I didn't do anything since I started running my crunches. So I might. This could change a lot of stuff for me, I guess.
Let's double check real fast just to make sure. All right. So right now, I'm the most recent projection, Sean Anderson. Oh, Sean Anderson did go down. 13.04 is his projection with our projections at Osmo.com. And you wouldn't have to wait for me to read them if you use that promo code live before lock. And Norris now up to 13.43. So you are correct. Norris does project as better value and a better raw points guy.
Well, there you go.
And anybody else here change noticeably? It's an important thing to know. So Norris actually now is technically the best value guy on Slate on DraftKings.
I'll tell you this much, and this is not about that game, but I do have 17% Norris right now, so it's not like he's getting ignored. When David Hess mows down these Blue Jays again, it's going to be really frustrating.
It is, and we talked about it on the show, and you've heard the reasons why, you heard the background, you know all the things, and you're still going in, so to speak, baseball's deep. Let's say.
That was good. I didn't know how you're going to walk out of that.
I was trying to class it up somehow, and I think I landed on a way to do that.
Class.
It's what I'm known for.
Yeah. Me too.
The classiest duo on DFS. That's what we are. It's our backwards caps and balls deep jokes. But yeah,
I have an actual joke for that, but I cannot say it on the air, and it's not vulgar either. It just can't be spoken out loud.
Fair enough. But yeah, Sean V in the chat, some other guys, Matthew Prodwell saying Anderson is trash. He's not been good, but at a certain point, the numbers are low enough where it does seem like they have to get a little bit better. That's my logic with him. His numbers are so low, but everything else isn't quite that low, where I find it hard to believe he's quite that bad at strikeouts, and he's getting a strikeout matchup. So I think that's where you look for regression to the mean.
Hey, spoiler alert, everybody. The guys that are lower in salary are generally worse pitchers. This is not news to me. I understand that. You can't just play 100% of Verlander plus Soroka today,
Well, you could, but you're probably not doing well.
Sure. I just mean, of course some of these guys at the bottom are bad. I also have 17% Norris and 7% Hess. It's not because I think they're good baseball players. It's because their salary is set somewhere else. And that's the only thing that really matters here is what they set their salary at.
Yeah, and if you want to make one more case too, again, using the top stacks tool, San Diego projected to be 5% owned as a group, as a stack overall, but their chance of being a top stack stays 4.6%. So that 0.4%, you give that to Sean Anderson. Yeah, that's his window of success. So, hey, whatever. Actually, it did work kind of well yesterday for the slate that we had with just going the opposite way of the top stacks tool for pitching. And I think I might Might try to do that a little bit more because I forget who I had. I know somebody with that who was really good yesterday, but now I'm blanking on it.
Yesterday was rough.
It was a terrible slate. I did not enjoy that slate, but that's fine.
Samesies.
Let's see. Also, somebody under the username your old pal Emac, is that left over from the strategy show this morning?
I don't know, but I laughed at it when I saw it.
Your old pal Emac, use that promo code your old pal Emac for 50% off your first month and a free 20-ounce Diet Coke. I don't think that's actually Emac. I don't think that deal actually applies, people. Norris was horrible for the last 2 seasons. He's actually serviceable now. Yeah, I would agree. Like he's not good, certainly not a good pitcher, but he's a guy who you can hope can get it through. Also, guys, hit that like button right now. We got 5 minutes left to lock. It's 5 minutes, I think, right? 5 minutes left to lock. So please go hit that like button now. The support means a ton. We're here every day for you guys. Every day of the week, there's a live before lock show. There's a strategy show. There's a lot going on for us on this channel. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, but also hit the like button whenever you're watching one of these videos. Likes help us out a bunch, and we try not to whore ourselves out for them too much for you guys because there's so many other things to whore ourselves out for on any show.
Thoughts on Kevin Durant?
Thoughts on Kevin Durant would be it's sad to me, and I think he's probably going to stay in Golden State now because I don't see how you don't take the option year when you're going to be out for half of it. But
I'd be shocked if he took the option.
I was everything. I feel like all the podcasts I listened to also thought that, which made me feel a little validation with it. But because like logically he has a $30 million option, I think, and you could get that contract, but everybody else might try to nickel and dime him, so it's probably just worth rehabbing and staying one more year, even though it's kind of weird.
If he picks up the option, then he just has to sign a new deal next year. It's not
right,
it's not like they're going to have like new information at the end of the option year.
But theoretically, can show he's healthy and get a full max deal. Where I mean, he should still be able to get a full max deal. But
that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that he's going to be limited to getting max. Like, I don't think anything has changed about his market.
I think it has, because I think the Knicks will be like, well, we don't want to give you the full thing now. We had Antonio McDyess in the early 2000s. And that didn't work out well for us. It was a knee issue. So like, I feel like that's what they might do. And then that screws it all up.
I can't imagine every single team that wanted him not still wanting to give him the max.
Achilles injuries are bad. I mean, Cousins going through it right now, and we've seen enough guys who just it's not a full. I mean, Kobe is not the best analogy, but a little bit older and a little bit also more banged up. But I think there's enough pause where for NBA teams who tend to overthink themselves, like I agree, I would pay him, and then you have the asset and you can figure it out from there. But they don't want to have John Wall in their hands or somebody comparable.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, he's not John Wall. You're okay eating that year if it's Kevin Durant. But if you've never been as good as Kevin Durant, that's when it gets grimy.
Yeah, I think
I'm into it. I give him every single cent he wants from any one of those teams that still wanted him. If I'm the Knicks, I throw every cent at Kevin Durant still.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if the Knicks still gave him the max, but it just also wouldn't surprise me based upon what we know of them. They overthink themselves and try to get cute, and then that spooks him off because he's a guy who's just about that loyalty and about that whatever. And I don't know. I feel bad for him though. Like I feel bad that he got pressured to play. I feel bad that they kind of. I mean, he knew what he was getting into. I think to some respect, but it's not the best human capital management. I think with how they handled that situation.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Warriors brought him back on a 5-year deal, but that'd be it.
I think so too. I think they may have realized collectively that they both need each other more than they thought, or want each other more than they thought. I think he also in particular, like it's hard to read Kevin Durant with his Instagram posts and all that, but I mean, he's been posting lots of Instagram, and it does seem like he's really kind of being supportive of the team in a way that he hasn't been recently, and I think that's kind of interesting to note because he does wear his emotions on his sleeve.
I'm so anxious to see how this next 3 weeks plays out.
The draft is next Thursday.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see where AD ends up. It's going to be this next week and a half is going to be so much fun.
It's going to be such a terrible draft.
And it'll be really fun for the first 25 minutes.
Yeah, the first 5 picks will be great. After that, it'll all be downers. Check in the YouTube chat for any questions, by the way, if you have any. Just a lot of Hess talk. I guess what's your final Hess count on the night?
7%.
Okay. Actually, I don't even know that I want to give you mine because it's substantially higher than that.
How substantial?
Let's see. So yesterday, whenever I do the show, I'm always a little bit surprised by how much I have of one guy. He's not quite to that level, but I have 25% Hess out of a max 20.
A lot of Hess.
There's a lot of Blue Jays out there.
It's true. It's true.
Hey, I'm trying to get my Josh leverage. It's been working well for me, honestly. Like I don't think I'm doing the same leverage approach that you are, but generally like it's been a spot where that's been more good than not for me. And yeah, I just gave me some different lineup looks, so I'll take it.
Best of luck.
Yeah. Me and the Hess trucks will be doing well tonight.
I'm obviously dramatically cheering against you.
That's fair. I'll allow it. I understand we can have different things. Yeah. Here we go. Dumont set 2-1-2-1. Spags, we dive in together. I got Hess too. Look, I think we all should just support David Hess today. He needs it. He needs our love.
Winning it all with the Cardinals stack. Good luck to you, Aaron.
I don't believe in going against Jordan Yamamoto.
Yamamoto, yes.
Kind of wish I'd played some of him just for. I like having guys who have no track record, just because sometimes they spike those random big days in their first start. I didn't do that today.
Oh boy. Shit, my money coming in with some interesting exposures.
What does he have that's weird?
Not my place to say.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, like Peter Lambert that other day. I mean, actually, he had a decent day yesterday too. But that first start, like, I don't think anybody would have been like, "Oh yeah, Peter Lambert, let's get that guy going against the Cubs at home." And I don't know. It happens. I feel like more often than not with these guys coming in for the first start, as long as they've got something.
Right. Adam just said it in Premium Slack too. Well, my pitching is terrifying.
I bet he's got some Hess in there.
There's a lot more of someone else. Well, I mean, we're locked. A lot of Mitch Keller.
Oh, all right. I don't hate that. Again, same kind of logic. He had 7 strikeouts in his first start. Maybe he keeps it going.
Maybe.
All right, we are locked. So hit that like button before you go, guys. Also, T McB in the Premium Slack saying 100% certainty the Knicks give him the max, and it doesn't work out. That would be the most Knicks approach, where Kevin Durant's just never the same again, but he gets that full contract from the Knicks. Classic Knicks. All right, hit that like button, guys. We appreciate the support. Use that promo code live before lock. There's still night slate content on the site. We'll have the ownership projections updated. We'll also have the regular projections updated, the rankings, the top stacks tool, all that stuff still applies for the night slate. So go check it out. Use that promo code live before lock for half off your first month or week. And Josh, what do you want to plug? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, PGA show tonight, live before lock, 9 p.m. Ben Rasa, Jason Roslin, breaking down the U.S. Open, which kicks off tomorrow. Monster contest structures out there. Millie Maker, just a ton, an absolute ton of stuff to get into. And these guys will be breaking it down for an hour at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight. So about 2 hours from now.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been crushing it with the PGA content, both the paid and the free content. So watch the show, but also use that promo code live before lock for an all sport pass. And you get an Osmo Plus membership that will give you access to all the PGA tools, which you've been using too, and I feel like you've had some success with. But a lot of people playing PGA without any knowledge of it and doing pretty well with it, thanks to the stuff we have at Osmo.com.
Check it all out, people. Use the promo code live before lock, and you get 50% off for it.
Yep, check it all out. So we'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow with, I think tomorrow's me and Jake. So tune in here, subscribe. Obviously, watch all the stuff that Josh is going on tonight. Check out the early bird with Josh and your old pal EMAC. We'll be going through all the stuff for tomorrow's slate before anybody else in the industry. And we'll be back again with you guys soon. So we appreciate you watching. Hit the like button, and good luck, guys.
Later, everybody.